Alright, this video is going to be another GALA update. I want to go over what has happened since my last video, which I posted on March 11th. And if I take a look at the thumbnail for this video, when I made this video, we had just broken above this massive range, basically the bear market accumulation range, if you want to call it that. And we did close a weekly candle up above what I would call the last lower high. And for this reason, I'm very interested in the retracement. This was an aggressive break above the high. It wasn't like just barely peak above, maybe wick up a little bit, close the candle right here, barely above the high. No, it was very aggressive. We closed this candle very high up here, and it was a very aggressive move to get that break. So, number one, the break makes me a lot more interested in looking for swing longs if we get a retracement, which we have gotten a retracement. And I guess I said it backwards, but I was, kind of expecting a retracement just based on how aggressively we came up. We got to move up here, and basically two weekly candles. One week candle opened here, closed here. The next one opened at that point, and then closed all the way up here. Very aggressive move. And we have so far gotten a retracement into the key areas which I was watching, or at least some of them. So originally, I had this area marked out. This was kind of my general support area. And basically, I'm mainly looking at the fixed range pull, if it will actually load. I was looking at pretty much the area between the value area high and the point of control. I moved it up a little bit to cover the high of this little range. And that was kind of my general, support zone or my retracement target. And I have broken that up into some more refined areas. We have, this area, which is the value area high and the golden pocket from the bear market low up to most recent high. That was kind of area number one for me. And below, we still have an untapped area of support with the 786 and the point of control of this larger range. And there is also a point of control of this mini range, but again, my fixed ranges are not loading in for some reason. There we go. So, I guess on the daily time frame, point of control is much different than if you go down to a lower time frame. And come on now, don't mess with me like this. Okay, so I guess on the weekly time frame is the only time frame where this point of control is actually showing up inside my box. Regardless, though, I'm much more concerned with the larger pull. I can delete that. If I'm being honest, it's just gonna annoy me at this point. But yeah, refined box number 2, 786, down to the point of control. Now, so far, we are holding some kind of support in this area. We did wick through it. We actually wicked straight down to the anchored VWAP from the bear market low and got a very nice bounce from there. But based on what I'm seeing on some lower time frames, I'm not sold on this necessarily being the bottom. I think we can continue consolidating a little bit, maybe even come a little bit lower. But first I'll talk about the weekly time frame. So the weekly time frame has been looking good. We've seen money flow get a pretty drastic move to the upside. It's funky because you don't really have much data to go off of on the weekly time frame. I can try and look for another chart that maybe has some more data, but it's not looking like there are many, which makes me think that this is all the data we can have. This coin probably launched back in May of 2022, unless I can find a chart that has more data on it. But I clicked through a few of them and I cannot, so I'm gonna give up. But we've seen money flow basically since weekly money flow was available. It's been very thick in the red. Now we're seeing a turn to the upside. It's a clear change in the direction of money flow, and we are seeing the momentum waves get higher and higher. They're in a bit of an uptrend right now. Right now, momentum is coming to the downside. We saw VWAP get a move down. It's starting to curve back up. So, we may be approaching that point where we might start to see the VWAP cross, momentum turn around, and, hopefully we can print a green dot here. And ideally continue the uptrend with, putting in another higher low compared to this trigger wave right here. Now, I don't think it's, absolutely imperative that we do. I think if weekly money flow or if weekly momentum gets a move down below this last higher low, I don't think it's the end of the world, especially if there's, what I would call some more convincing signs on some lower time frames as we're bottoming out here. Just, all in all, because of the weekly break, I'm feeling pretty bullish about this. That is, if I see some kind of a reason to be bullish within local price action as we're getting a retracement. Now, looking at the daily time frame, Here's where I'm starting to feel a little iffy about us bottoming out where we're at right now, and that's just because the daily money flow has taken a serious turn to the downside, and it's not showing any signs of reversing. We got a little move into the red, came up a little bit. Now we're putting in lower lows in the red, at least locally speaking. And we're seeing a very similar situation to what we saw back here. In fact, this wave of money flow is almost identical to this wave of money flow. And we also do not have any bullish divergences on the daily time frame as we put in this low. That low correlates to the deepest momentum wave in the red, so not really seeing any signs of a bottom yet on the daily time frame. I actually forgot to do this while I was recording. This was the point of me talking about the daily money flow, but we kind of have potentially, a fractal situation where we could see something similar that happened over here. The last time we saw, a similar looking money flow wave and then money flow crossed into the red. Maybe we see another similar thing in this area. And the comparison I want to make is, you can see I put a vertical line on where the money flow crossed into the red. I guess in this case, it actually crossed right here, came back up into the green for a little bit, and then crossed back down. So we'll compare these 2 points right here. And previously, what did we see? Well, we saw GALA got a retracement. It put in a significant low, got a little bounce, started ranging for a little bit, and right here is where the money flow crossed into the red. From there, it continued retracing a little bit, put in a few more lower lows, then, started this little mini range down at the low before it ultimately reversed. And, potentially we may have a similar situation here. So GALA previously bottomed before the daily money flow crossed. Here, it put in a bottom, and then money flow crossed right here. Could we see this part where we begin retracing a bit more, putting in some lower lows, maybe forming a bit of a range in this area before reversing? Potentially. So that's kind of the fractal I'm looking at. And it makes sense, based on the fact that we've hit into one area of support already, but we still have this one below us that we could run into. So that's, another reason why I'm very interested to see what happens as we approach this area down here. Now, again, maybe we don't even get down there. Maybe this is the low. Maybe we end up breaking this range to the upside, breaking above the anchored VWAP, breaking market structure, and then just carrying on our way upwards. That's possible. And if that happens, then I would probably be looking for more local trade setups in the ranges that form in here, rather than trying to catch the absolute bottom, or rather than entering a long right here with a stop loss all the way down to this low. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would want more of a refined entry. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about with the daily money flow. And the 4 hours, a very similar situation. The low correlates to this wave. This wave was the lowest momentum wave recently. So we do not have any bull divs on the low, at least not with momentum. There technically was a slight bull div with money flow on that low. Money flow was actually in the green, or maybe just barely in the red as we put in that low into the anchored VWAP. So there was a slight bull div, but I'm not really concerned with that just because it's pretty weak looking. It's not like money flow got to move into the red and then kind of started a clear uptrend as we bottomed out. It was more so just kind of hugging the zero line and bobbing up and down. That's not really a strong divergence in my opinion, especially since we don't have a div with momentum as well. But there is always the chance that this ends up being the bottom. I'm not saying it's impossible, but based on the daily time frame and based on the fact that we're not seeing clear bottom signals on the 4 hour, I'd say it's pretty unlikely. But of course that has a lot to do with what Bitcoin does. A lot of people are feeling iffy about Bitcoin right now. Is it going to start a larger retracement, or is it going to just blast back up to all-time highs? I think either scenario is possible. So what happens with GALA will depend a lot on what Bitcoin does. But I would like to plan for the scenario where we do get another move towards the low, because I think that would be the more bullish scenario, actually, because that could set us up with some very nice looking divergences on multiple time frames. On the daily, if we can move down to, let's say the 786, maybe even like the low end of this box, we could see some bullish divergences start to form on, the daily time frame, and potentially even the 4 hour, depending on how we work our way down here. If we start working our way down slow, I think there's a better chance that money flow will start to curve ultimately by the time we reach the low. And another reason why I'm not really digging this as a bottom is because of the market structure that we have from the top down. It was pretty much low, lower high, and then straight down to lower low. So in order to break this downtrend, we actually have to get a move all the way up above this high and break that significantly, which is not really a good lower high to have. I think if we take out the low once more, that would look a lot better. Then, if we break this lower range that we're trading in right now, we would also be flipping market structure. And we can take a look at some other things. You could take an anchored VWAP from the high. It's been, pretty well respected, at least on the daily time frame. We mostly just have wicks above it. We got one little close right here above it, but I'm not really considering that like a complete disrespect of it because we still held resistance on it. We still rejected from there, came back up, rejected again, went lower. So I think that anchored VWAP from the high is being respected. I would watch this. And, maybe if we are going to get a move down and put in a new low, maybe by that point the anchored VWAP will have moved down a little bit so we can have some confluence with a range break here. That would be nice. And I don't think there's a whole lot more to talk about at this moment. I'm really just waiting to see how things develop. And if I see an opportunity, then I am definitely interested in looking for swing longs on this asset. I think it's in a pretty good situation, given the bullish break, given the weekly time frame. I think the overall movement to the upside with momentum and money flow on the weekly is, giving me some confluence to this idea. So now I just have to wait and see how things develop locally. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment. All of that helps to support my channel, and I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.